Hello everyone, this is Stephen Balch, your instructor for Intro to Microeconomics at Ozarka College. Today what I'm going to do is give you a little feedback on the chapters 5 through 6 activities that I finished grading this morning. And there were a few questions that some of you had some problems with, so I'm going to kind of address that. And then I will tell you about the chapter 7 activities that we've got coming up due on Saturday of this week. So like I said, the first thing is I did finish grading the last set of activities this morning for chapters 5 and 6. So go ahead and look at your grade for those activities and the corresponding grading comments. If I did have to count points off, I tried to be pretty specific on why I counted points off and what I was looking for. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in just a minute. But overall, most of you did well on the chapters 5 through 6 activities. And like I always tell you, I really appreciate those of you that are putting the time and effort in. So keep up the good work on that. Now, I did notice a few of you had some problems with assignment question 1. Specifically, you had problems explaining the importance of the price elasticity of demand. And basically, it's important to businesses to understand how elastic the demand is for their products that they're selling, because it's going to greatly influence what prices they charge in the market. Okay, so it helps firms make pricing decisions when they understand how responsive consumers are to changes in the prices of their products. All right, so kind of keep that in mind. Then assignment question 2. On that question, many of you listed but didn't fully explain the determinants of the price elasticity of demand. And so I wanted you to list each one of those, but also explain how each determinant affects elasticity. All right, so just kind of keep that in mind. And then on assignment question 3, a few of you had problems explaining the relationship between marginal utility and total utility. And this is all covered on pages 95 and 96 in the textbook. Basically, as we learned about in the law of diminishing marginal utility will decrease starting with that second unit consumed of a good. All right, and so again, according to the law of diminishing marginal utility, the additional utility from consuming a good will continue to decrease as more units of the same good are consumed. All right, and so marginal utility will decrease with each additional unit consumed, and it may actually become negative at some point. And so basically the last part of that question asked you to be specific and tell me exactly what happens when with the total utility when marginal utility is changing. When marginal utility is decreasing, when it's equal to 0, and then when it actually turns negative. So basically, as long as marginal utility is positive, in other words, above 0, total utility will increase. Okay, and it will do that. It will increase up to the point where marginal utility is 0. Okay, when marginal utility is 0, that means we've added as much to total utility as possible, and then any consumption after that point will actually result in a negative marginal utility, which will then decrease total utility. Okay, so that's what I wanted you to do, is kind of be very specific and explain what's happening to total utility as marginal utility is changing. All right, And let's see. So that was the questions on the assignment that I wanted to kind of point out. And then the discussion that we had for chapters 5 and 6 that dealt with the elasticity of demand for cigarettes. I thought that went really well. Most of you really provided some good information. And I really enjoyed reading everyone's comments, so good work on that. On the objective test for chapters 5 through 6, most of you did well on that, but most of you just took the test once. Just as a reminder, you can take that test as many times you want to up until the due date. And those objective tests will be things that you will use as a resource to study for the midterm and final exams. I'll be opening those up for review when it gets closer to the midterm exam. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, that brings us to what we've got coming up due for our next set of activities. So if we go to the activities page in my Ozarka, we have under week 5, we have the chapter 7 assignment, test, and discussion all due by Saturday, September 23rd. Okay, now even though those activities are not due until the end of this week, don't wait until Saturday to get started on those, because you're going to have other things that you're going to want to do on the weekend. So I would suggest going ahead and getting started on those activities as soon as possible, especially because chapter 7 is going to introduce a lot of the things that are going to be critical for you to understand as we work through chapters 8 through 10 over the next few weeks. Okay, so specifically chapter 7, you're going to learn about production and cost in the firm. Okay, so we're going to start kind of looking at how firms make economic decisions. So in chapter 7, you're going to learn about explicit and implicit cost. You're going to learn about accounting versus economic profit, normal profit. You're also going to learn about something that's very critical in economics to understand, which is fixed versus variable cost. All right. Also, you're going to learn about marginal product and the law of diminishing marginal returns. Okay. Also, towards the end of chapter 7, you'll learn about marginal cost. So we'll add the cost part of the equation into, add that to marginal product. And then also you'll learn about short run versus long run cost. All right. And that's also very critical to understand. Okay. So again, this chapter 7 is very, very important because it's going to lay the groundwork for the next 3 chapters, chapters 8 through 10. In chapters 8 through 10 specifically, what we're going to be doing is taking what we've learned from chapter 7 and then applying it to specific types of markets, anywhere from monopoly to perfect competition and everything in between. So we're going to be looking at different market structures in those chapters 8 through 10 and looking at like marginal cost and marginal product and long run versus short run cost and so forth. So you're going to need to be able to understand those concepts in order to be able to apply those in chapters 8 through 10. All right. So be working on those activities. Remember the resources that you have available. You have your textbook. You have the PowerPoint slides on the assignment page. You also have the videos on the assignment page. And so make use of those resources and get, like I said, get started on this chapter 7 activities as soon as possible. And let me know if you have questions as you're working on them. And that's all I have for you for today. So I will talk to you next time. Thank you.